If you're about to run a succubus or an incubus, and your plan is they flirt at the party and then we roll initiative, I want you to gently set that plan down on the floor and walk far away from it.
Because these monsters are way scarier, way cooler, and way more fun when you run them like predators. Not like a social encounter with a save or suck staple to it. Like a thing that's been watching your party for a while, learning their habits, and waiting for the one moment where somebody is tired, separated, or emotionally compromised. You know, like a real villain would do.
Also, before we get into all the tactical nonsense, do the YouTube thing for me. Like the video, comment with the most brutal "we trusted the wrong person" moment you've ever seen at a D&D table, and subscribe to Monster Mechanics. If you're here for monsters that actually act like monsters, you're in the right place.
Here's what I love about Succubi and Incubi. They don't need a dungeon, they don't need a lair, they don't need to kick down the door and announce themselves. They need access. Incubi are dream hunters. They slip into the homes of sleepers, feed off dreams, and replace them with nightmares. And they don't just do it once. They visit night after night until the victim finally expires. Then they move on, and the monster manual adds this extra nasty detail. They prefer the loved ones of past targets, which means if your party stops one too late, congratulations. Now the villain has a list of your NPCs. It's basically a slow-motion horror movie with a calendar. Succubi, on the other hand, are tempters, but not in the goofy way people sometimes play them. The monster manual frames them as manipulators who dominate humanoids mostly to reinforce the manipulation or defend themselves. That's the key. They're not walking around going, mind control, mind control, mind control, like it's a hobby. They're building leverage. They're choosing the perfect moment to cash it in. And both of them can be swapped in their forms. Incubi can become succubi and vice versa, because the point is not the look. The point is their tool set. If one approach stops working, they'll come back tomorrow wearing a different plan. So at your table, the vibe should be, this thing is always auditioning for the role and gets exactly what it wants. Alright mechanics, let's talk about what these things actually do and what it means when you're the DM moving the mini. Baseline stuff first. Both are CR4, both are AC 15. The Succubus has 71 hit points, the Incubus has 66. They both walk 30 feet and fly 60 feet. That fly speed matters, because it means they can decide when the fight is in melee and when it is absolutely not. Their ability scores tell another story. They're not strong, they're not beefy, but they're very slick. A strength of 8, a dexterity of 17, 13 constitution, 15 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 20 charisma. These monsters aren't trying to win by being bigger than you. They're trying to win by being smarter than you and scarier than your own brain. They're also socially cracked. Deception and persuasion sit at +9 each. They've got insight and stealth too. They have telepathy out to 60 feet, and they speak abyssal, common, and infernal. That telepathy is a gift, by the way. It's the easiest way to make the table go quiet. You just look at one player and say calmly, you hear a voice in your head that is not yours, and it knows your name. They both resist cold, fire, poison, and psychic damage. So yes, that means some parties are going to throw their favorite damage spells and go, wait, why didn't that melt it? And that's a good thing. That's the monster saying, you don't get to autopilot this fight. Now on to the important part, their kids. The Succubus runs on a very mean little loop. It has multi-attack. It makes one Fiendish Touch attack, and then it uses either Charm or Draining Kiss. Fiendish Touch is a +7 to hit, has a 5-foot reach, and deals 16 psychic damage on average. That's going to be the rhythm here. The Succubus can keep pressure on while it does the real thing. Charm is the real thing. It casts Dominate Person at 8th level version, no components, with a save DC of 15. This is the part where the party goes from coordinated to panicking in one die roll. Then, Draining Kiss is the nasty payoff. It only works on a creature that's already charmed by the Succubus, and within 5 feet of it. A con save, DC 15. It deals 13 psychic damage on average, half on success, and the target's hit point maximum drops by the damage taken. That max HP reduction is what makes it feel like a true predator. You're not just getting hurt, you're also getting weaker over time. And then the Succubus has the campaign tool of Shapeshift as a bonus action. It can become a small or medium humanoid or return to its true form. Same stats either way, but it only has the fly speed in true form. Equipment doesn't transform here, so it can spend the whole social scene looking like a person, and then the second the moment is right, its wings come out, it flies, and now the geometry of the room is going to matter. The Incubus, on the other hand, is built differently. It's less about turning the party member into a weapon, and more about turning the entire adventure day into a disaster. It has multi-attack for 2 Restless Touch attacks. Each is a +7 to hit, a 5-foot reach, and 15 psychic damage on average. But again, the damage isn't going to be the headline here, it's going to be the curse. On a hit, the target is cursed for 24 hours, or until the Incubus dies. And while cursed, they gain no benefit from finishing short rests. Read that again like a villain. No benefit from finishing short rests. That's going to be a key pacing weapon here for your combat. That's how you turn "we'll short rest and keep on pushing along" into "we are slowly falling apart." Then it has spellcasting, with a save of DC 15, no material components. At will, it has Disguise Self and Etherealness. Once per day each, it has Dream and Hypnotic Pattern. That's a disgusting toolkit. It can look like anybody, it can leave the plane when it's threatened, and it can attack while you sleep. And it can shut down a clustered party with Hypnotic Pattern. And then it has Nightmare as a bonus action on recharge. Wisdom save is a DC 15, one target within 60 feet. If the target has 20 hit points or fewer, they go unconscious for up to 1 hour, until damaged or until someone uses an action to wake them up. Otherwise, it deals 18 psychic damage. Last mechanical note here, because it matters for reoccurring villains. The Succubus and Incubus can swap into each other when they finish a long rest, using the other stat block and equipment doesn't transform. So if your party thinks they've solved the trick, the monster can literally change its trick. These monsters feel lame if you run them fair, so don't. You don't start with "they're standing in the middle of the room." You start with something like "they're already here." Let's talk about openers. If you're running the Incubus, your opener is going to be Dream. You use it like a sniper shot. You do it the night before something important, before the party has to negotiate, before they're about to hit a boss, before they're about to travel through dangerous territory. And you tailor the nightmare to the character, because the monster manual straight up gives you nightmare themes to work with. Chasing, drowning, a shadowy intruder, a traumatic past event, an eerie visitor with a message. The best ones aren't just scary, they're going to be useful for your campaign. They include a clue, a name, a place, something the character feels like they have to act on immediately. If you're running the Succubus, you use one of the temptation plays. The monster manual literally tells you how to set it in scenes. It might take form of a lost loved one, it might charm someone close to the target, it might isolate the target, it might pose as a flattering underling, it might pretend to need protection. That's your menu. Pick one that matches your party and your story, and let the Succubus be patient. It doesn't strike because it's bored, it strikes because the target stepped into its trap. Now for some mid-fight pivots. The Succubus wants Dominate Person online as fast as possible, because that flips the entire fight from party versus monster to party versus itself. And the target choice is not who has the most HP, it's who creates the worst situation if they turn. A dominated wizard is terrifying, a dominated paladin is a moral crisis, a dominated barbarian is a furniture problem. Once someone is dominated or otherwise charmed, the Succubus starts trying to engineer the 5-foot moment. Draining Kiss needs that range, and the kiss is where the panic happens, because max HP reduction makes the players feel like they're losing the war even if they win the round. It's like a pressure cooker here, so use it. The Incubus wants curses early. If it tags 2 people with Restless Touch, the party's whole short rest plan is on fire. And here's the important thing. The Incubus does not have to benefit from that. It can tag and bail, because the curse lasts 24 hours or until it dies. So even a failed fight can still be a successful hunt. Then play it like a ghost. Disguise self to mess with identification. Etherealness the moment it feels cornered. Hypnotic Pattern when the party starts hinting up teamwork and clumping up. Nightmare when somebody dips low and thinks they can play safe for a turn. And now for retreat logic. These are predators, so treat retreat as a part of the kit, not just a backup plan. If the party has counters online, if they start moving as a unit, if they stop taking bait, your fiend just leaves. Incubus can etherealness away at will, and Succubus can shift faces, shift forms, and use flight in true form to disappear into vertical space or the crowd. The best Succubus and Incubus fights ends with the party saying, "It got away," and then realizing it could be so much worse than that. If you want all this to play clean on a map, give yourself 3 things: height, sightline breaks, and a normal-looking space for a disguised humanoid to exist. Height is going to be your balconies, rooftops, stairwells, broken catwalk, whatever. They fly 60 feet. Make sure that matters. Sightline breaks are going to be your pillars, curtains, wagons, doorways, big statues, stuff they can duck behind so the party has to reposition instead of just standing there doing perfect math. Now, first 3 rounds, here's how I would run it. In round 1, the monster starts already present and already disguised. You let the party interact, you let them commit, then you pop the reveal. If you're using minis, physically swap the mini. Innocent mini off, fiend mini on. That swap is a table movement. On round 1 in combat, Succubus tries to land Dominate Person fast. Incubus tries to land at least 1 Restless Touch curse fast. Not because it's greedy, but because those are the effects that define the rest of the encounter. In round 2, you sell Predator positioning. Succubus stays near the controlled targets and uses them like a moving problem. The party now has to choose between focusing the Succubus or saving their friend, and that choice costs actions either way. If someone steps into that 5-foot range to snap them out of it or help, that's when the Succubus is looking for the draining kiss moment. Incubus plays edge of the fight. It wants to be 25 feet up, or behind a pillar, or around a corner. It wants the party spending turns moving. If they clump, Hypnotic Pattern. If someone's low, Nightmare becomes the threat that forces the party to protect their wounded instead of chasing the villain. Then in round 3, you decide what this scene is. If the party's unraveling, you press. If the party is stabilizing and closing the net, you retreat. And the retreat isn't something like, I run away on foot and get tackled. It's etherealness. It's flight. Shapeshift. It's gone. Alright, here's how to roleplay these without it getting too weird at your table. They want access. They want invitations. They want permission. Permission to be alone with someone. Permission to travel with the group. Permission to be present at the safe place. They trade in secrets and leverage, not in coins. Succubus energy is, I know what you want, and I'm going to offer it in a way that makes you feel like it was your idea. It flatters. It plays helpless. It plays familiar. It offers a shortcut. And if you make it simple, if you remove the social advantage, that's when it gets cold and very, very efficient. Incubus energy is a little bit quieter though. It doesn't have to win a conversation. It just has to make you wake up tired, angry, and alone in your own head. It plants the message in the dream and lets you do the rest. Give them one tell. Something your party can notice and feel smart about later. Their compliments are too accurate. They always ask the second question. They never talk about themselves unless it's useful. They laugh 1 second late. Small stuff. That's what makes the reveal feel earned for your party, which is perhaps the most important part about these creatures. Here's the deal. The best loot for these monsters is not a pile of gold. It's proof in tools. Give the party evidence that lets them hunt the fiend. Letters that look romantic until you realize they're basically a feeding schedule. Little trophies from victims. a list of names with dates. Something they can bring to a priest, a sage, a rival faction, and go, this is what's actually happening. Then, give them one practical reward that feels creepy and also useful. Something like residue from a dream crossing, a cold, oily vial that can be turned into a one-use advantage against being charmed for a night, or a single night of wakefulness without exhaustion. Not because you need to hand out magic items constantly, but because it makes the players feel like they're learning how to fight back. Now let's take a look at some encounter ideas. And my first idea for you is the town that's always tired. The party rolls into a town where everyone looks like they slept in their armor. People are short-tempered, temples are overwhelmed, and every few days someone just fades. If the party does nothing, it escalates into paranoia and scapegoating, because people need someone to blame. The twist is the nightmares have a repeated detail, like the same silhouette, the same visitor with a message, the same chase. That pattern is the clue trail. The party can solve this one. My second encounter idea for you is the wedding underling. Big noble event, huge stakes, and there's one assistant who is wildly helpful, always flattering, always trying to separate someone from the group just for a second. If the party does nothing, the succubus lands a domination at the worst possible moment and turns the wedding into a public disaster, then disappears into the crowd. The twist is, the party might have met the succubus for hours before they even realized they met a succubus. And lastly, my third encounter idea for you is the short rest that never works. The party's deep in their dungeon crawl, and suddenly their usual rhythm is broken. They try to short rest, and it feels pointless. They start second-guessing themselves. If the party does nothing, the Incubus doesn't even need to win a stand-up fight. The dungeon wins for it, because the party's resources collapse. The twist is that the Incubus doesn't have to be seen often. It can pop in, tag curses, and leave. And the problem is going to linger.
So that's how you make a succubus or incubus actually feel like itself. They're not a joke, they're not a creepy pickup line, they're predators with an actual plan. Succubus is control into a max HP drain. Incubus is a curse pressure, dream attacks, and the kind of escape tools that make you feel like you're chasing smoke. Run them patiently, let them retreat, and let them come back with a different form when the party adapts. And most importantly, leave a trail. Give your players patterns they can catch on to so they can finally win. And it'll feel like they earned it, not like you stopped being mean to them. And hey, if you want more monsters that fight like monsters and roleplay like villains, like the video, comment your nastiest, the villain got away and made it worse story, and subscribe to Monster Mechanics. And I'll see you in the next one.